So today we've got an opportunity to talk with Shaun Weiss, who's the co-founder with his brother of a company called Beyond Med, which is really interesting. And we got to know each other because of another company we have that serve veterans. But we're, as you know, we're in the healthcare space, not just for the provider network in MedCV here. We have, I guess, there are a couple of 100,000 of you guys out there that are part of this part of the network. But also on just the healthcare space that we're in to help not only providers, with resources and tips and tools and ideas and suggestions and connections, which is what this is, to help you, run your practice better, right? And or increase revenue, increase profits, decrease stress. Help your team do what they're supposed to do in the way of, securing more patients and those kinds of things. And so Shaun and I have known each other for a while. So Shaun and his brother, like I said, started this company. And Shaun, I'll tell you a little bit about the bio, and then I'll ask you for your bio. But Shaun is a Georgetown graduate and a lawyer by trade, and spent some time in the M&A space, the mergers and acquisitions, private equity side. And he and his brother decided to start this company, and he'll tell you why here in just a second. But he also has a lifelong history of being in medicine because his mother is a physician. And so for whatever reason, Shaun decided not to become a doctor. He decided to get a Juris Doctorate instead. He can explain that. Maybe there are too many doctors in his family already. He didn't want to add to it. But I think what they've come up with is really interesting, and we want to tell everybody about it, basically, because, again, we want to help you do better in your practice and optimize that. So we came together and figured out that we want to spread the word, so to speak, to the network to help you as a member of MedCV. Shaun, tell us who you are first, and why you're doing this, and why your brother and you decided to get into healthcare space.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks for the intro, Niels. Shaun here. We started the company alongside my brother Brent. We're originally a couple of South Florida kids. We grew up in Weston. I don't know if anyone knows that, but very close, if not in the Everglades. So a couple of almost swamp guys. But we grew up, as you kind of mentioned, in a family that had a couple of healthcare professionals in it. My mother was an emergency room doctor. Dad was actually a dentist. And although we probably weren't smart enough to become doctors, we were smart enough to listen. And we often would listen to a lot of the issues that they had in building their practice. We went ahead and both kind of went off on our own paths. As you mentioned, I became a lawyer. My brother is in private equity. And we always kind of paid attention to the health market and the healthcare market. And I'll touch upon it as we grew Beyond Med. On a personal note, moved back down, was living kind of all over. Was in New York most recently, moved down to Miami a few years ago with my now wife. We got the dog, we got the house, and we're now
family next. I bet your mom's talking about that at every family dinner, right?
Oh, every lunch, dinner, and dessert. But yeah, no, and we're lucky enough now to have kind of gotten a cool company going that is not only helping patients, but helping doctors in terms of building their practices. The team, as you've met a couple of the members of the team, is great. We feel it's a company that's helping all aspects within the sort of healthcare sector. And especially in terms of those providers who are trying to build out their practices and increase their patient volume. I'll get into what Beyond Med is for a provider and from the provider aspect, but just wanted to give you a little intro there.
Yeah. So tell me then, now we're segueing into that. I mean, what is Beyond Med, and what's the model that you guys put together, and what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. So when we went ahead and started the company, we wanted to create a program in which we would go ahead and give providers what they wanted most, which is patients who are paying right at the desk, who they're not dealing with for claims, that they don't have to chase down, who want to utilize their services and aren't wasting time, right? And on the member side, we knew that we could build a benefit, right, and go ahead and market this as a health benefit, where people could look at our network of providers and say, oh, I want to go ahead and utilize them. I want to sign up for what Beyond Med is, which at the end of the day is a network of providers. We're regulated under the State Office of Insurance Regulation. So we are a regulated entity, and go ahead and kind of push patients into providers' offices for things that they are using or want to go ahead and use that fall outside of a typical health insurance world. When we talk about what our network is made out of, oftentimes it's made out of the things that are elective or voluntary. So bariatrics, fertility, plastic surgery, dermatology, down to things like acupuncture, chiropractic, mental health. And we wanted to go ahead and formulate a way in which people would go ahead and be attracted to going to your offices and paying cash out of pocket right at the point of service. So you didn't have to go submit a claim, chase down money, or feel as though, like many insurance companies do, your fees were getting slashed. Any sort of, any other things that I can be helpful with there? Or
also, I think that's interesting you talk about that. It sounds to me, from what we talked about many times, right, is that you're also really trying to make it easy for them, right, for the front office staff and for the doctor to manage that process of questions, because you're kind of priming the patients, right? You're educating the patients on what the process is and what expectations should be and those kinds of things. So you're not only are you marketing to prospective patients in the service areas of these physicians, right, or providers, but you're also helping the patients with questions that they may have going in. So it seems like it's a smoother process. Everybody knows, you're managing their expectations, and you also help the front office staff and the physicians manage expectations as well, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about how you help the patients understand what the process is and what their expectations should be in the way of paying and what's fair and what's normal, and they are getting a special price, right? And then also the front office staff, how you're helping as a company, how you help educate and onboard or orient those folks to receive those patients and answer questions they may have.
Yeah, definitely. So I would start by saying this. If you are a physician or a medical provider, you probably entered that field to practice medicine, to have some sort of patient interaction, to help people, and to practice your craft, right? Unfortunately, in today's world, it now includes a bunch of other stuff that you probably didn't sign up for and is taking time away from you practicing. Things like patient acquisition and the patient acquisition costs that come with it, the marketing, the SEO, advertisements. If you're dealing with insurance companies, I know for a fact that your pain points are claims administration, any sort of claims denials where you have to go call the insurance company and chase down payment, right? All the times that you've spent in initial consultations that someone will ask you an hour's worth of questions, and you'll give them your time, and then they'll walk out the door and never to be seen again because they're just hopping from one physician or one provider to another and not really sure they want to make the choice. And unfortunately for you, it's time that you spend, right? And it makes sense, and it's a shame for the patient, but that time has a cost to it, and it has to be recouped somehow. And the only way that it can be recouped is through the fees that a patient pays for you, right? And that's sort of the cost of time. So we wanted to make a program where there was no marketing involved, because as you mentioned before, we go ahead and we market and we sell our product directly to employers who are giving the benefit to their employees or offering the benefit to their employees. So there's no marketing, there's no cost of patient acquisition for patients that come with Beyond Med. There's no claims administration because patients are paying you directly at the point of service with cash or credit card. And from an initial consultation perspective, people who join our network have already subconsciously decided that they want to go ahead and do one of the specialties I enlisted, because they're paying. That's how we make our money. Members are paying to get into our program, into our network. And now that they're paying to be part of it, they're walking into your office with the intention of using your services. When we go ahead and bring members on, we are doing everything we can to not only push them into your office or to help facilitate them into your office, but to educate them about what your services are and how the process goes. Every member gets the ability to contact our concierge team, which can help find providers in the area, call and schedule appointments, pre-verify that they're a member with Beyond Med. Members know that when they show up, they present their Beyond Med card like they would any other health insurance card, where you would just go onto beyondmedplans.com and go to your provider resources and type in the ID card there, and poof, there pops up that they're eligible or not. So you can see them right there. And then you have to chase the money on it.
Well, so yeah, we typically in industry, we know that we have to spend roughly 25% of our budget on marketing and sales. And what you're doing is you're basically going out and marketing to the masses on behalf of everyone in the network, right? Mm-hmm. And you negotiate a discount on behalf of your members, but that discount rate is less than the 25% that you would typically, charge or have to pay for marketing. It's certainly not the only thing you need to do to market, right? It would be great if that was the case. Like you brought in all patients and they could just sit back and do what they love to do and they're trained to do. But it's definitely a resource that is going to save them time, money, and I think that's very important.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how we got to our discount too. So our discount's normally at that 20%. We looked at that 25. We know that there's marketing expenses that are still involved in the doctor, but said, listen, if someone was going to walk in and pay right immediately for those services where you didn't have to incur those fees and your margins are made the same, if not a little bit better, and you're trying to grow your practice, or let's say your schedule's already filled and you're trying to bring on more staff or fill their seats and their chair time, this is a great way to do that.
Well, and also it's important to understand that 20% discount is only when a patient arrives. It's not like you prepay a 20% discount. You have this investment out there and you're hoping that you're going to get a return on investment, right? You offer that. And if you don't have anyone else filling that slot that you can make 81% on, right? Then you fill that slot, right? I mean, that's it. You fill the schedule with paying customers at a rate that is probably higher than what you would. Well, since insurance companies don't actually generally pay for this service anyway, it's at your bill rate, and whatever the rate that you come up with that's fair and market competitive, right?
Yeah, we're not dictating the way you create your fee schedules. We're not like insurance. We're not doing our usual customary rate, and we're not going ahead and getting involved in the billing process. This is something that a patient walks in, and like you said, if it's an empty chair, that's an opportunity cost to the provider. So you would rather fill that chair time with someone who is ready, money in hand, wants to go and pay for your services. And they're signing up for our program because they know that they're ready to utilize them. They're not vacillating on the idea. They are consciously ready to go ahead and see a provider. And that's why they signed up for Beyond Med.
Right. Now, let's say I'm a physician and I really want to make sure that everything that you're doing is operating at max capacity for my practice in my service area. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how you would engage with me? And because I'm very engaged with my business, what kind of conversations do you have with the providers themselves? They go in and say, look, we'll give you a discount, but here's what are you doing for me? I mean, we're going to get you patients, but how are you doing it? And how, to
Yeah.
what kind of speed, what kind of, activity can I expect? What do I need to do with regard to learning and supporting that effort
Yeah,
to help
totally.
you, help me, you know?
Definitely. So we go ahead when we're talking about contracting in a typical provider environment. We're finding providers that are looking to build their practices, bring in patients, specifically those who are these cash paying patients, right? But it doesn't just stop there. It's not like we walk into your office and say like, hey, we're going to bring you cash patients or self-paying patients or out-of-pocket paying patients. And then we walk out the door, we list you on the network and we say, peace out. We're sort of the antithesis of health insurance. Health insurance would love nothing more than a member to pay a premium and then never show up at the doctor's office because then they wouldn't have to pay a claim, right?
Right.
We're not paying claims. We want patients to go into your office. So we're doing a few different things to do that. One, we're always engaging with members via their member portals, which they have in their web apps and they have in their mobile apps. Members go ahead and get newsletters on a monthly basis, if not actually more frequently, in which they can go ahead and see the new providers that are in the area, some great stories that are happening in regards to partnerships. If there's any new services that you want to highlight, always welcome there too. If you are in an area...
If I have new services, I just need to reach out to you and you'll help me promote those new services or new physicians. If I add a new physician to the practice, right? You'll help promote that new physician in that area. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We have them on our member newsletter. We have our stories, and oftentimes in those stories is providers in your area. So if there's something that you want to go ahead and notate, this is effectively free marketing for you.
Right.
Also, what we're going ahead and doing now, which is becoming more and more popular, we sell our benefit at open enrollment sessions. So when people sign up for their health insurance, they're going to a health benefit fair. If we're bringing on members in your area, which is most likely the case, given that's why you're joining our network, you can be invited to come to those benefit fairs and those open enrollments and be our co-sponsor provider. It doesn't cost you anything or anything like that. You just get to stand there and talk about the practices that you're doing. We'll bring on chiropractors who will do little adjustments, or acupuncturists who will do acupressure, or we've brought on dermatologists who do vitamin shots and things like that, just to promote their practices a little bit. And that's very common. Additionally, we have our concierge line, which we talked about a little bit before, that every member is going ahead and getting when they enroll with their welcome email. Members love to use the concierge line. Everyone wants to kind of feel loved in a sense. And if there's something that you want us to let our members know, if I, for instance, pull up in a geo in your area and then you want to know, or you want the members to know something's going on, that's where we're telling that to the members too, because we want them to be informed.
Right. Well, this is really interesting, and I think it helps a lot of folks. It helped on the patient side, but also the physician side. Our members here at MedCV, being creative, and then actually to add to the point of being creative, if these physicians or their office manager or someone has some idea about maybe how to promote more through your network, you're always open to it, right? Do they get assigned a manager or an account manager for all the practices, and they build a really good relationship? And I can just say myself, Shaun and I have become good friends at this point, right? Or else we wouldn't be doing business. That's one nice thing about us being the CEOs of our own companies. We can decide not to do business with people we don't like, or don't trust. But Fred Burke, your business development guy, is the guy who reached out to me, and it was that typical reach out, who are we? We'd like to talk to you, that kind of thing. But it was interesting. Fred is such a great guy that you just immediately like him, And so I think I share that because it's a testament to the quality and the care that I think leadership has, and it permeates all the way throughout the chain of command at your company, with you and your brother and with Fred. So it was an easy decision to want to have a conversation to see if this is something that's going to help our members, and I believe it does. So I encourage you to reach out, and there's a link. There's going to be a link, obviously, on the page where you're seeing this or wherever you see this video, to Beyond Med and join as a provider, and then they'll take care of you. I promise they will. So thank you very much, Shaun, for joining us on this and telling the who, what, where, and why about Beyond Med and about you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the
Thank
time.
you.